Well, it looks like we are streaming live on Facebook. I'd like to welcome you to Coffee with a Coach. And today we have Dr. Milu as usual, and we have Mike Hill as a special guest. Streaming live on Facebook. And so good morning, Mike. How are you today?
I'm good. Thanks for inviting
Excellent. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Good morning, Dr. Milu. I don't know if you're aware, but I think Coffee with the Coach is about to celebrate 1 year of Facebook of coffee.
Yes.
Cheers to every one of you. Good morning. Yes, 1 year. 1 year and growing. So that's fantastic to see. And I'm delighted to have Mike here. He has grown his business significantly in recent years. And even during COVID, he have faced some challenges with how things was. But I am pretty sure he overcome those challenges and making fantastic progress. So welcome, Mike. And hopefully this will be a fantastic session for us to discuss where you are and where you are going.
Thank you, Milu.
So tell me, Mike, how are things going in business these days?
Busy right now. We are buried with a lot of customers and a lot of work right now. And I've been hiring and I'm still trying to keep up.
It seems like the floodgates have broken loose.
Yeah.
And just about anybody who owns a business has as much as they can handle.
Yes. Yes.
Probably more than they can handle because everybody is hiring.
Yeah, I was out till 10 o'clock last night working on some issues and solving problems. So not getting much sleep here lately.
So tell me how this reflect back about a year ago in June of last year when this was just starting to ramp up. How was your business at that time?
Well, let's see, June of last year was basically right after COVID kind of came on strong.
Right.
And we had some jobs, commercial jobs that just got closed down. And I had a lot of commercial guys I was trying to find work for. And so it was really a struggle at that time to get those guys busy.
So people didn't want anyone in their offices and their workplace. People didn't want anybody in their homes. I guess
yeah,
the emergencies that you had to tend to, you had different precautions.
Right. If you remember right, they closed so Illinois closed down all commercial work, so like they kicked us off the job sites.
So you're in Illinois is where you base your business.
That was where we had that problem. Missouri didn't do that, but Illinois did. And we had a couple projects going just across the river. And they kicked us all off the job site. So they basically put their job on hold for a while. And at that time, we didn't know how long it would be, because it was all happening so quickly. I mean, there was talk of closing the border between Illinois and Missouri. And we're like, you can't do that.
How would the trucks get through?
I know, it's like you can't close the border. But yeah, I mean, that's how serious it was at the time and how crazy it was getting. And it just calmed down a little bit after that. And about a month later, they let us back on the job sites with precautions, and we were able to get back to work.
So I guess that's part of the problem is all these businesses have the backlogs of last year that have just been piling up. And then we have compounded with that, the ability to get products to complete your jobs.
Yes.
And so everything is moving
like
not as fast.
Yeah. So a lot of times we have projects that are bid and ready to go, and we're just waiting on materials to complete the job.
So how long have you been doing this, Mike?
I've owned Accurate for 8 years.
8 years.
Mm-hmm.
And before Accurate, what were you doing?
I worked actually for some Fortune 500 companies like AT&T and IBM prior to that.
So is this how you envisioned your life would be? That you would, that you would own your own business and be an entrepreneur?
I don't think like when I was younger, I don't think I envisioned myself that way. No, not at all. I think my envision was when I was younger that I would work for a Fortune 500 company and work my way up the chain and retire out of a Fortune 500 company is what my thought process was. But business changed and attitudes changed in business, and those big companies stopped valuing their employees, and so I decided that I'd made enough money for somebody else and wanted to make some money for myself.
Very good. Well, you seem a little young to have had the aspirations of wanting to go to work for a company like our parents did and work your life at a big company and retire with a pension, basically. So
Yeah, I mean that was kind of my goal when I went to work for it. I went to work for it originally for Southwestern Bell, and then they bought out AT&T and combined, and eventually they sold my division to IBM, which I didn't think at the time was a terrible thing, though I lost my AT&T retirements. But IBM then has changed a lot over the years, and they've gone into an offshore model, and we're offshoring all the work that they could possibly offshore. So I ended up in charge of a 15-person team in India, and it was just a challenge and not very pleasant experience for me, and the time change and the meetings at all hours of the night and everything.
So what we are discussing at this stage in Vino and Vision with Dr. Milou is the process of self-discovery. And usually that process begins when we are younger, trying to figure out who we are, what we could do, what are we going to do in life?
Mm-hmm.
And then life happens and we get a little too busy to do that self-discovery process. So when you are getting ready to change jobs, change careers, did you go through some process of self-discovery yourself?
Uh,
Or did you just do it?
I don't think I did. I worked for IBM, and I was working for them. I brought in a $5 million contract with them, and they gave me a 1% raise, and I decided that that just
Here's a cookie for you. Good job.
a satisfactory outcome at that time, and decided that if I can do this for somebody else, I can do it for myself.
And when you did that, how was that process? Did you struggle for a while?
I definitely struggled finding a business to purchase. It took more time than I thought it would. I looked at a lot of businesses and a lot of opportunities that were out there, and it was hard to find the right fit for myself, of a company that was small but could expand.
So you probably at that time had to do some self-discovery if you're trying to find the right business that fit you. You
Right.
had to have some idea who you were and what you wanted.
Right. I knew what I was good at and what my experience would help me in a business. And so I used that experience and kind of drew circles around businesses that I thought would be good for me. And I ruled out certain businesses like restaurants, and some other businesses that just weren't going to be a good fit for me.
And so you ended in the electrical service business.
Correct.
And how you've been doing this for how long again?
8 years now.
8 years.
Yeah.
And do you find that you are happier?
Yeah, I mean, I like owning my own business and not having to answer to higher ups that think things are important that aren't important. You know, I did my share of TPS reports and I decided that those were useless and I didn't want to do those and I didn't want people that worked for me to do those.
So now that you're the guy at the top,
Right.
what kind of reports do you want from your people?
They got to put a daily timesheet in every day, tell me what they did so that I can bill it out properly. That's the main thing that I have my guys do every single day is, tell me what they did so that we can get paid for it.
So what do you do for yourself to expand yourself,
Expand myself or my business.
your individual person?
Yeah.
Do you try new things? Do you go new places? Do you try to learn something new?
During COVID, there hasn't been a whole lot of anything that we've been able to do. And so I do a lot of hobbies and I certainly enjoy myself in my off time. You know, I sail, I rock climb, have my family that does activities with us, and we just got back from Colorado doing some hiking and rock climbing out there. So those are the kinds of things that I enjoy and we have a lot of fun with.
Those are great individual pursuits, particularly rock climbing,
Yeah.
because you pretty much have to be in the moment.
Yeah, right. It's a bit of a thrilling experience. It's a challenge, and yet it's gets the adrenaline going.
Would you say that is your number one pursuit to just do for yourself?
No, I enjoy rock climbing, but it's certainly not my number one pursuit. I think
Sailing?
think sailing's fun too, but I wouldn't say it's my number one pursuit. You know, I think just living life and enjoying life is my number one pursuit.
Very good, very good. And I guess during COVID times, we all had more free time than we were accustomed to.
Correct.
How did you find you use that free time?
Um, I put a lot of that free time into work. You know, it was like definitely during that initial COVID time when everyone was kind of scratching their heads what we're going to do. I I had to like reformulate my business a little bit at that time. Now I don't, but back then I thought they were going to change over to basically that I saw that all the residential and commercial private work was stopped, you know, and so a lot of government work was starting up. And so I kind of changed gears to go after a lot of government contracts. And that's a lot more headache to do government contracts than it is private. And so I chased that really hard for, about 3 months during COVID when we were slow and I was trying to find stuff. So that took up a lot of my free time during COVID. And of course, like everyone else, I watched Tiger King.
I'm happy to say I never saw an episode of Tiger King.
Oh my gosh! Well, you got to watch it, man.
I guess I'm a late bloomer on those. I'm just.
Well, it shows that there is life after corporate world. And, we are doing a segment of young entrepreneurs building the future of business, where people at the age of 20, 22, 25 or so, they're starting up their entire life as an entrepreneur, and they are needing some guidance and they're needing some futuristic view. So as we can see here, Mike, owner of Accurate Electric, after many years of IBM profession, and there was a time that the owners and entrepreneurs, they have that mindset of at the beginning, like, okay, what do I do? how do I live my corporate world and where there is a structured life to a business world where I am in control of my own ship. And that is the life after corporate world. But young entrepreneurs, they're building it from the beginning. And that's after 20, 30 years from now, they will be coming back and saying, I'm so glad I started that myself.
Yeah.
And I kind of reached my destiny as I did. So that's self-discovery. What we were talking about, Tony, is what allows us to find who we are and what is the best align for us. So eventually we get there. It's just for some of us, it's how many years, and some of us for when.
Young entrepreneurs, I feel for them, it's such a challenge to dive into something and not have the building blocks that they need to support themselves while they're entrepreneuring. You know, it takes obviously a lot of time. It obviously depends what they're going to, but usually it takes, you know, 3 years or something like that, of sleeping on couches and trying to get a business started. And it's, you know, I feel for them going through that. I feel like my experience in working for another company in a Fortune 500 situation and gaining that knowledge of how big companies work and how you realize that things are important that when I was 20 something, I didn't think were important, such as, you know, government forms and IRS tax forms and all the things that, you know, in my younger years, I would have put off and not dealt with as much as possible. I now take that on and make sure I'm organized, make sure I get those things done on time and don't end up paying penalties, and, you know, do my audits for my workman's comp and things of that nature that just a pain, but really important to make your business run smoothly.
Yes, and that is so nicely said, Mike, is the having that experience is what the young entrepreneurs need in a different way. And that's why the mentorship, and that's why the business owners who are already experienced in that come into play to support them and guide them to the right direction. And of course, there is coaching involved. So they don't make that mistake, or they don't, you know, I see them having that mindset of, oh, I don't have enough experience, what do I do?
Yeah.
And they also have that that mindset of like, okay, people will not take me seriously because I'm too young.
Right.
And we recently had a young entrepreneur on our discussion. He's from St. Louis, but he was in Florida when we were having this conversation, and he is a mechanical engineering fellow, and who now make computer generated parts for agriculture industry, and that's what the business he brought in, and he have quite a few people working for him now.
Mm-hmm.
And within a short period of time, he have made significant move on growing his business. And with the right help, they can break the chain of corporations, or working for somebody else than working for themselves. And within time, they can improve that mindset. And some of these big corporations, as you can see, like Microsoft, was not founded by somebody who was working for a corporation. And they actually dropped out from college to do that to companies. So there is a lot of things to be learned from there as well.
Right. Those people hired the right people to run their sections of business to help them get through those issues that he had, you know, as he was going along. You know, when Bill Gates started out, he was a coder and he was writing code and he was giving it to IBM and fixing it on the fly and flying by the seat of his pants.
Exactly.
But, you know, he got a lot of money from IBM and hired the right people to put everything in place to make his business work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So tell me, now that you're into this for 8 years, what would you tell your younger what would you tell your younger business self? A lot of times the question is, what would you tell your younger self?
Right.
But what would you tell the younger business person when you were just starting out that you've learned?
Let's see. Look at your employee manual and make sure that that's up to date right when you get going, so that you understand what is expected of your employees and what if everything is in there properly. I think that's an important thing that people don't pay a lot of attention to. Some companies don't even have employee manuals, so it's
A lot of small companies do not have employee manuals.
so it's important.
It's a craft one.
I switched from hourly to salary on some people, and that was a mistake without going through and thinking about all the employee manual issues that come with a salary employee.
Quick question for you, Mike, just to give our viewers some perspective of the beginning of your business to now. What is the growth as far as number of people, and if you are, like what is the growth you have seen from the beginning to now?
Yeah, so when I started this, or when I bought this business, we had 8 people working for us, and had about $1 million in sales per year, a little under. And now I have 23 people working for me, and I'm at about 2.5 million right now.
So within a very short time, it was a significant growth.
Yeah, I mean, my goal was to just grow like 10% a year kind of thing, basically my mindset was grow 1 truck at a time. And, when I got enough work, I can hire another guy and get another truck and expand that in that way without expanding my office staff was my goal. But of course, eventually I had to expand my office staff too.
You don't want to do it all yourself.
Right. Eventually it gets heavy on your shoulders.
Right. And when it's you have no one to fire.
Right. No one to blame either.
Well, that's right. When you think about that, you always had a boss you could look to and say, he doesn't do this right. Or if it was my company, now that it is your company,
Right.
it's a little harder to be that specific with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any feedback that you try to stimulate from your employees, from your staff, to help you understand the changes that need to happen?
I do. In fact, we do an employee questionnaire out to the folks to ask them if there's things that we can do better from the office staff side to help them, or vice versa. And, we get feedback from them to try to make their lives easier, and try to make our lives easier by making their lives easier.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it usually comes to either better notes on jobs so that they can understand the job better before they get there, or having proper materials so that they can have the materials they need when they roll out of here first thing in the morning. They don't have to go shopping around town to find stuff to do their job. So those are the kinds of things we try to streamline more and more.
Very good. Well, in the process of self-discovery, there are many versions of yourself, Mike, with each person that you know, because they each know you in a different way. So the more employees, the bigger your family, the more people you come into contact with, there may be 3,000 versions of Mike out there based on what they know about you.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess, I don't know where I'm going with this, except that, do you ever take a moment to try to think about the version of you that you know, or maybe the version of you that you don't see?
I guess I do when I get feedback from customers about, how we have treated them or how our company's treated them or myself. I try to do introspective to figure out what we can do better to serve them better, to understand their problems better.
Yes, and I would think that the rock climbing you do is a form of meditation, somewhat, that you have to not think anything about work and think only about where you're at that moment.
True.
And it is a struggle and a challenge directed just you and the wall. And sailing, when the weather throws you some curves
Mhm.
and the water throws you some challenges,
Yeah.
sailing can be that way too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I do a lot of racing, and when I sail and I race, there's nothing on my mind but my race. I'm not out there having tea and crumpets with people. We're racing.
The tea is spilling.
Very, very nice. So I know our time is short. So Mike, it's very nice to see you again and having you in this program. We would love to have you back at some point again.
Thank you.
So good luck with the business. You are doing fabulous job and maintaining the lifestyle that you like to have. So which is very good to know. And out of COVID, this is fantastic attitude to have to move forward.
Appreciate it.
Tony?
Very good. Well, thank you for joining us today, Mike. And Coffee with the Coach will be back 2 weeks from now, the first and third Tuesday of the month. And we will be discussing what in the month of July?
Month of July.
Positivity.
Exactly. Positivity. So
Positivity.
that would be a fabulous thing after COVID, right? During COVID, we saw a lot of negativity. And now we are seeing some positive signs, and how we align with that positivity is very important for moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you very much. And we will see you guys in 2 weeks.
All right. Thank you.
First Tuesday in July.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Nice meeting you, Mike.
Nice meeting you.